Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TZ press conference. Transform Zimbabwe President, who is also MDC Alliance spokesperson, is going to give a speech on the state of the economy in Zimbabwe. However, the president is only going to be representing Transform Zimbabwe today. He's not on alliance business. At the end of the session, we are going to have questions from you, if there are any, and we hope to answer those questions. Now, I'm going to introduce to you the panel that is before you. To my left is Advocate Nkomo. He is a lawyer of repute. And to the left of the president is Miss Jova, who is our treasurer. She's our treasurer. And Advocate Nkomo is the National Secretary of Transform Zimbabwe. At the moment, I think the president will be ready to roll it out. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Thank you. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for attending this press conference. I'll read through what I would say are our comments as Transform Zimbabwe to what is happening to our economy. After going around interacting with the people, we decided to respond to what is happening in this statement. First, I would like to start by saying to all the people in this country who are struggling to survive, I see you and I hear you. I see you when you wait in queues for hours to get your own money. I see you when you leave groceries at the till because you do not have enough money. I see you when your children are sent back from school because you do not have enough school fees. I see you when your loved ones die in hospital floors because they cannot afford treatment. What Robert Mugabe has done and is doing to Zimbabwe is unpardonable. The official deliberately takes policy decisions that harm the people. When their actions in office cause indescribable suffering, such actions can and should only be regarded as criminal. All across this country, people are living hand to mouth. Our hospitals are in shambles. Our roads are severely potholed and bridges collapsing and dams cracking. We are faced with the total ruin of our beloved country, while ZANU-PF fights for power. It is very clear that Mr. Mugabe does not recognize nor does he care about the suffering of Zimbabweans. We witness this every day, and more recently through the government's actions against thousands of street vendors who are trying to survive. The fact is, Zimbabwe is a man-made crisis. 37 years of bad policy making has taken us backwards instead of forwards. Instead of advancing with other nations, growing our economy, with millions of jobs for our young people, we find ourselves on a steady path to regression. We are not moving forward. So, to my fellow Zimbabweans, I say this. If we are expecting change to come with another 5 years of ZANU-PF, then we are fooling ourselves. If we think that some nation is going to bail us out, change comes from us. Transformation starts with the people. This is why I stand before you today with a series of common sense proposals that I believe will set us on the right track. But do not be mistaken. This is not a Transform Zimbabwe thing, but is a people thing. To succeed, every Zimbabwean, young and old, needs to roll up their sleeves and lend a hand. I would want to highlight this morning 5 areas of concern to the economy and our proposed solutions or mitigation. The first area I want to highlight this morning is the area of cash shortage, the cash crisis we have. There's a critical cash shortage in this country. There are long queues in the banks, and a lot of productive time is lost. inhuman conditions as people are sleeping on bank floors. There is an acute shortage of foreign currency. As TZ, we led the only anti-bond note march in 2016. We warned the nation that the bond note is a fraud, which the government is trying to use to rob us of our real money. What they've done is they've captured our real money and they've used that into buying luxurious cars for the children of the first family, if I may just make a point on that. And then what is it that we propose as mitigation for the people of Zimbabwe to deal with the cash crisis? I've got a couple of common sense suggestions which we are going to push through to the people of Zimbabwe. Number one, as a nation, we should join the Rand Union until we are ready to re-establish our own Zim dollar. Then number two, we urge citizens to reject payment in bond notes because they are not working and they are fraud. You must keep your money. Don't take it to banks. If you take it there, if you can't get it, then what is the point of you taking your money there? The people of Zimbabwe reject the bond note because it is a fraud. And if you have foreign currency, we encourage you to take your foreign currency and change it even on the black market. There is no way $1 is equivalent to one bond note. With $1, you can transact outside the country. If you are a cross-border trader, which most of Zimbabweans are, they can take their $1, they can do transactions in South Africa, Zambia, and elsewhere. But if you then feel that your $1 is equivalent to your one bond note which you can't transact outside this country, that is not acceptable. And we also urge the Reserve Bank to establish an appropriate exchange rate bond note against the major currencies which we are using in this country. We feel that a 1:1 exchange rate is not sustainable and is not practical and realistic. We also call upon Mangudya to resign. He promised the nation that if bond notes don't work, he was going to resign, and clearly they have not worked. So we urge him to be truthful to his word, and we urge him to resign. The second area of concern I want to raise this morning is the issue of vendors. Employment is the main cause of the vendors that you see in our streets. Most of the vendors are graduates who could have been using their time productively and growing our economy. Our qualified engineers have been reduced to selling airtime. As I was walking here, I passed through 4th Street bus terminus. I met two young gentlemen. I asked them, what are you doing? What have you studied in life? They told me one was an electrical engineer, the other one was a qualified mechanical engineer. And they're fixing phones, charging $1, $2, fixing charging systems of cell phones. That's unacceptable and unbelievable for our nation to be like that. Vending has become the blood life of our economy. Vending in our streets was sanctioned in the first place. We want to highlight this morning. It was sanctioned by the First Lady, Grace Mugabe, because she was fighting her political enemies. She encouraged people to occupy free space in urban centers and start vending. And now, the whole idea of moving them, we understand is also a tactical move to disenfranchise the urban vote at the head of the BVR registration, which is currently going on, as they did during Murabachina in 2005. What is it that we propose to mitigate? Our mitigation measures include that we urge this government to create the employment that they promised to the nation, rather than fighting unemployed who are trying to earn a living. Also, we urge this regime to repeal the Indigenization Act, which is hindering investment, for there is no economy which can grow if there is no investment. Then the third area I would want to highlight this morning is company closures, which basically are caused by laws and policies which are unfriendly to business. Dozens of companies are closing every day, and there's a huge ripple effect to our economy. Engineers cannot access their money. The following are the main laws and policies hindering the growth of the economy. Number one, indigenization. Indigenization Act scares away investors. Which investor surely would want to invest where they will not have control over the investment? So the 51 to 49% policy is unacceptable. We also have the Statutory Instrument 64, which is a protectionist legislation, but is not supported by operational efficiency and quality control. For there to be quality, we need competition. And the instrument is coming to protect an industry that does not even exist. As it stands, 95% of our raw materials for that industry, or for the local industry, are imported, giving the instrument powers to protect an industry that in fact will eventually run down and close because they don't have access to foreign currency. In coming up with our monetary policy, clearly business is not consulted. Our monetary policy is not friendly to business. There is an 80% surrender requirement for export earnings to the Reserve Bank, which in exchange they write RTGSs. And these RTGSs apparently cannot enable one to import. That is killing the goose which lays the golden egg. What is it that we propose? We propose, number one, the repealing of all retrogressive laws, including the Indigenization Act and SI 64. We also stand with companies such as Kwese TV and others which are fighting this regime as they are being blocked from investing in our country, giving huge employment to our people. The second last point I would want to point out this morning is infrastructure. Zimbabwe in its current state has no sufficient infrastructure that is necessary, e.g. power, road networks, airline connectivity, etc. Therefore, we are losing investment because we do not have adequate infrastructure. Hospitals are in dilapidated state. The education system is in a sorry state. Instead of focusing on creating proper infrastructure, they are busy availing $3 million to purchase company vehicles. They have useless travels which gobble up to 10 million. That is a shame. What is it that we propose? We propose that a policy review framework will resolve most of these challenges. The last point this morning, the fifth and last point I would want to highlight that is affecting our economy is greed, looting, and impunity. Mugabe and ZANU-PF regime are responsible for running down this nation. They are responsible for the looting of this nation. They are busy with illegal appropriation of national resources for vote buying and personal gain. The first family itself epitomizes greed, looting, and impunity. They live a luxurious life, lampoon in poverty. The first lady can afford millions of dollars worth of diamond rings. Their children can afford extravagant lifestyles full of violence in foreign countries. Grace can afford to beat up innocent young ladies outside this country and still afford diplomatic immunity. Mugabe can afford first-class treatment in Singapore while the nation's health system has collapsed. Grace can afford to shout at everyone on national television and claim that everyone, including the vice presidents, are working for her and her husband. Millions of state funds to go and live in luxurious hotels in New York, supposedly attending a UN function while the nation is burning, prices increasing, and Zimbabwe dying. What a shame. What is it that we propose to dealing with this? This regime must go. Mugabe must go. Regime change is the way to go. So we urge Zimbabweans to register to vote and vote ZANU-PF out of power in 2018. The 2018 election is a defining moment for Zimbabwe and for the rest of the continent. Now it is the time that we all finally stand together and up to these rogues and bullies of Africa, whose egos feed upon their people while turning their nations into wastelands. Zimbabwe is ground zero in this campaign. Robert Mugabe is the oldest head of state and third longest serving president in Africa. He represents everything that is disastrous about African politics. My fellow Zimbabweans, now is the time for your wisdom and courage to heal and rebuild our broken country. This is time for a new culture of politics. It is time to reclaim our sovereignty from those who are bent on serving themselves as they systematically destroy our beloved country. I lie to you that a new Zimbabwe is impossible. A new Zimbabwe is possible, and we can transform this country next year. A new Zimbabwe is at hand. The economy we want in this country is on the ballot. Therefore, register to vote and vote wisely in 2018. God bless you, and God bless Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Ngari, for the speech on the state of economy availing in Zimbabwe. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for questions, and we are going to take 3 questions per session. And before you may ask your question, it is only ideal that you identify yourself by name as well as by the media house you represent. We may now start if we have any questions. Yes, sir. One.
My name is Hilary.
You may please come again.
My name is Hilary Mulet. I'm a freelance reporter. I'll ask Mr. Rand who may say, ZANU-PF is big elections before, which means it's the old habit which they have developed. They say old habits die hard. So do you have a plan if ZANU-PF wins the elections once again? And the second issue is on the issue of the economy. You realize that the industry is failing to sustain because there is no money in the economy. There's the situation of the industry, the sustain of our industry. Since there is no capacity for us governments to run our own industry.
Thank you very much. Next person.
Okay, the COVID problem myself. I'm a journalist. My question is, as we know, press conference does not mobilize people to register to vote. So are you on the ground mobilizing potential voters to register to vote, especially in urban areas where we always witness voter apathy?
My name is Lucy Yasini. I'm a freelance journalist. You made reference to the issue of the bond note, and you are urging Zimbabweans to reject the bond note. They've done so. They've done some activism last year, but it never worked. Propose that they should reject the bond note when there is no alternative.
Thank you very much. If I may summarize your questions. Question was on the rigging of elections, that ZANU-PF has been rigging elections, and what are you going to do to address this situation? Then the second question was, are you mobilizing on the ground for voter registration? Third question was from Yasini about the bond notes.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will be referring to my colleague for some of the questions down the line. Right. Firstly, the question to say, what is your plan because ZANU-PF has rigged before? That's a very pertinent question. We all understand ZANU-PF has rigged elections before. And what we have done in the opposition, having realized that they always rig elections, we decided to make sure that we come together, we group and fight for an even electoral playing field. And one of the achievements from that fight under NERA and under different political parties, one of the main achievements that we wanted, voters' roll. We have fought for new voters' roll in this country for a long time. And we have specifically requested for a biometric voter registration to be effected in our elections, which we have achieved. BVR is on the way. And now ZEC has been forced through our fight for reform to build a new voters' roll, which they are in the process of doing. So that actually makes a realization for us in the opposition that elections are rigged and we need to come together as the opposition so that we are able to have good chances of winning the next election. And of course, you have also raised the question to say, and how are we going to address that? One of the things which this economy needs, obviously, is an injection of cash. And how do you get that? You get that through investment. Foreign direct investment is critically important. But we cannot talk of foreign direct investment in an economy where there are policies which are inconsistent, where there are policies which are not clear to the investors, which clearly do not attract investment. So one of the key things to attract foreign direct investment is to make sure that you have got consistent policy. And you also repeal all laws and acts which would fight the attraction of foreign direct investment. Which I mentioned in my presentation this morning is the issue of the Indigenization Act, which would, if you invest 100% of your investment, you are required by law to give up 51% of that. That's unacceptable. So we want to make sure that there is foreign direct investment, and you do that through right policies, which we believe and know that once we put in place, investment should flow. Then the second question was, okay, all right. Then the next question was to say, what are we doing on the ground to register? Yes, we are on the ground as Transform Zimbabwe, and I understand also as other different political parties in the opposition. I was going around in Epworth with our team, our Transform Zimbabwe national youth leader was in Epworth. I was doing this other day, and we were seeing hundreds of people queuing. And we also identified some of the main challenges in urban centers which they are facing. Like people were turned away because they could not have and produce proof of residence. And we actually have been helping people to make sure that they are commission of oaths. And now through also the NERA initiative, we've now gone back to ZEC and fought that registering officials, ZEC registering officials can become commission of oaths, which has been accepted to make it easier for ordinary people to register to vote. So indeed, we are on the streets. And the feedback I've given you here is what we've been getting around from the streets and from ordinary people. Then the last question was about the bond notes. Lucy was saying we've tried to reject the bond notes, but to no effect. Then you ask the question, how are we going to achieve that? How are we going to urge people to reject the bond note? With what is happening, it's becoming very clear that if you keep bond notes, you lose out. And that is setting in. Prices changing and increasing in shops. If you are holding on to your bond note, eventually you will have a worthless piece of money which you can't buy for the value it is purported to have. So what we are simply urging people is, you keep your money in rands, you keep your money in US dollars and in other currencies. So when you get your bond note, change it into another currency. And if a person is trying to pay you in bond notes, reject the bond note, ask if they have another currency which is better. That's why we propose that this nation needs to join the Rand Union. And so through these activities, the bond note will have no place. With rising inflation and what is happening, eventually the bond note will have no place in our economy. And we urge people to reject it because it is a fraud.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'll have you.
My name is Kosana, a freelance journalist. This seems to suggest that the only forms of Zimbabwe is through the bond note and the US dollar. Yet there is the electronic system, which I think is even more, common than the use of the US dollar and the bond note. You haven't offered any solution as to what happens to our monies that are in banks, because civil servants, and I'm sure the entire workforce ends via the bank. So if people are going to reject the bond note, what happens to their monies which are transferred through the electronic system? Must they also reject those money?
Thank you. Next question, please.
Okay, my name is Jeffrey Moy. I am a reporter with the New York Times. You have reverted to the old mantra of Mugabe must go. How do you propose to turn this into a reality? Because we've heard this for quite a long time, Mugabe must go, and I think even Mr. Mugabe has become used to this mantra.
Thank you. Next question. Is there any? Seeing that would be unfair. All right. Yes, you can ask your questions.
Okay. Mr. Ngari, citizens out there on a casual note discussing them, they're saying, yes, we want change, but there's no option. All the leaders that are in the opposition are power hungry. What would you take on that?
Okay, thank you very much.
Right, good. Okay, thank you. Right, the first question was your comment that, you know, there's also money. I mean, there are also electronic transactions, which you supposedly say is the main thing that is going around. You see, you are saying it's the most common. But let me also say to you, our economy is quite big. I mean, and Zimbabwe's population, the majority and the bulk of the Zimbabwean population is also in the rural areas. And of course, they don't have access to any of these, the swipe cards and all this. They actually transact in bond notes. You actually realize that most of their transactions are in bond notes. We also understand as we're going around, they face huge problems. I mean, people in the rural areas, because they actually use cash in most of the cases, and they are facing huge problems. And people in epicenters, of course, they have money in their bank accounts, and people are sleeping on floors in banks. But let me say to you, one of the key challenges that this economy is facing as far as cash is concerned, of course, is also that electronic transfer. People are getting money, they are receiving their salaries in US dollars, and it's deposited in their accounts, and then they don't have access to that money. Most people have been reduced to informal traders. They can't even swipe it outside the country. And this is what we are saying: reject even payment if where you can. I know and understand some of it is salaries, but where you can afford to make sure that payment is not by electronic transfer, simply make alternative arrangements if you can get it. Otherwise, even if you get it in the banks, this other day I was with this old lady who told me she had walked from Bari to come to a bank in town. And she walked, I think she said she was walking from 4 a.m. to come and get a number. And then she was number 150. And then the point is, she says she gets 40 bonds per week. What does that help? So what we are saying is simply the system has completely failed to work. And it was upon the responsibility of this government and the leaders thereof to make sure that they deal with it, which they failed. So we are also saying to the people of Zimbabwe, then you can't just say, okay, fine, my money has been trapped in the banks and I can't do anything, and then you do nothing about it. So we're saying, as much as you can, you should make noise and reject it where you can, because otherwise you have no other alternative. And this is what we are insisting on, that the people need to reject all those transactions, and we should send a clear message. If I deposit my money in the bank, then I should get it back. I'm calling for. This is what we are calling for. And of course, my brother says, how do you propose to make it a reality? The mantra Mugabe must go. Obviously, if he doesn't go, then what happens to this country? That's the tragedy we are facing as a country and as a people. That we are faced with a leader who is 94 years old, who sleeps at every meeting that he attends. And if we don't call for him to go, what do we do? And how do we make this into a reality? If you were to look at what we have done in the opposition, we've come together to work together, which is the first time since 2000 in recent history that the opposition has come together to work. Like we have built coalitions. It's not about one man calling Mugabe to go. It's not about Morgan Tsvangirai only calling for Mugabe to go. It's not about Jacob Mugabe Vume or any other opposite political leader. But it's about all Zimbabweans coming together to make this a reality. And our initiative and approach this time has been to make sure and to ensure that we make it a reality for the Zimbabwean people. And the people have suffered. And surely who can imagine another 5 years with Robert Mugabe and ZANU-PF in power? That's why we feel the steps we've taken in the opposition will make it a reality for Mugabe to go. Of course, lastly, let me respond to your question to say leaders in the opposition are power hungry. Do I look power hungry? Okay. Anyway, I understand people can have their comments, but what I really would want to show that opposition leaders are not power hungry. We've demonstrated our willingness to work together. I am president and leader of Transform Zimbabwe. There are other presidents and leaders of different opposition political parties, and the alliance demonstrates our willingness to sacrifice so that we come together to fight this dictatorship. And we've come together and we've talked about the idea of having one candidate as we approach 2018, which shows that we are not power hungry. It shows that we are committed to seeing change in Zimbabwe. So I think, in a nutshell, I would say we are doing our best. And of course, we need the support of the Zimbabwean people so that they join hands with us as we fight to make their lives better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. If there are no other questions, we may come to the close.
And the representative workers, Your Excellency, if I may take you a bit a little place. Obtaining on the ground in the rural areas. As we speak right now, rigging is started in the rural areas where traditional chiefs they have going back on a rigging spree, threatening villagers and funding the poor, taking advantage of those that are desperate and poor. What is Transform Zimbabwe doing to help the workers? My second question could be, in as far as the Labour Act, what is the opposition and the alliance doing on Labour reforms?
Right, I'll respond to that one quickly. The first one is to say, what are we doing to the people who are already forced in the in opposition supporters in rural areas? We understand the rural areas have been the main springboard that ZANU-PF has used to rig elections. We understand what has happened in rural areas in elections through and through. That's why through other initiatives, as the opposition, we've come together to ensure that voter registration is thorough and our supporters are registered across the country. We are coming up with programs in each made for each community and for each area to make sure that people are able to register to vote. We understand the threats and challenges that the people of Zimbabwe are facing. Very critical that we work together with the citizens themselves. And we've also said, citizens should be empowered to make up their own decisions. Citizens should be empowered to challenge evil. What we have been doing with different people in rural areas. What are we doing about the Labour Act? What we need to be able to change any piece of legislation, we need the sufficient numbers in Parliament. We need the sufficient power necessary for us to effect those changes. And this is why we say an election victory for the opposition will change all those things. It will give us the necessary power and the necessary instruments at our disposal to make sure that we create a right environment for the people of Zimbabwe to live a better life. So all we need to do is make sure that we change this government. And then when we change them and replace them with a government that has got a heart for the people of Zimbabwe, then Zimbabwe will become better.
Thank you very much, President Gary Vume. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this press conference. We have media kits that are going to be issued out to you by one of Transform Zimbabwe media team members, Tafadzwa. Where are you, Tafadzwa? All right, she's by the door. She's going to give you those kits. And we also have some eats somewhere by the door there for those who might want to quench their thirst. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.